Welcome on another video about hybrid project management. My name is Rogério Manso, and today I'm gonna talk about KPIs. These are a very important subject, and I'm gonna try to help you on to identify good KPIs, how to measure the success in your hybrid project, what are KPIs and how to choose a good KPIs, which tool you can use to measure and to monitor your KPIs. These and much more I'm gonna answer in this video. Stay with me because today we're gonna talk about mastering key performance indicators. Okay, welcome back. So if you remember, last video I talked about hybrid project management. Basically was a new way of doing project management, combining agile and traditional ways. But how to measure the performance of your project? It's very important for a project manager to understand how the project activities are going. And how to measure the progress of your project if you are using two different approaches. What are the key performance indicators, the KPIs that you can use? And that's why I'm gonna talk this video to help you to identify good KPIs, good indicators to monitor your project. KPIs are, I would say, project navigation tools. So that will help you to identify if you are in the good direction, in the good track, in the good performance. They should be measurable, and it's important that to understand that these KPIs could change depending on what kind of approach you're gonna use. That's why it's so important to understand it, to better identify KPIs that works for traditional and agile in your project. A hybrid project management KPIs will help you in the different ways, because they're gonna track numbers that will answer some traditional components of your project and some agile components in your project. And it's not only, we're not talking only about deadlines and cost. We are talking about performance. And I'm gonna go in deep about this subject today. And we're gonna see some types of KPIs that works best for traditional and others that work best for agiles, and how you can balance these KPIs and create a good dashboard to report your project performance. So it's important that KPIs, it's in a way to get some knowledge about your project and to measure the performance of your project, your team, your deliverables, and to make help you to make better decisions in terms of actions that you need to do in case something happens in your project. So let's start with this very interesting subject. It's important that you understand that when we are managing a project adopting two approaches, traditional and agile, usually we do some mistakes. That it's important that to identify when this happens. The first point to really be successful in hybrid project management is to know how to work in this specific environment. And for this, you need to train your team. You need to train your group in both methodology, in both approaches. So you need to have a good training, a good knowledge about agile and traditional methods. Often teams are well versed in either the traditional or the agile, but not both at the same time. So this is what result in the imbalanced approach where the benefits of hybrid model are not really realized. The second mistake is when we have a poor communication between teams. We know that communication is a key factor, success factor for any project. But when we are in a hybrid environment, this makes even worse. So in hybrid environment, have a good communication, it's vital. Mistakes could happen when agile teams and traditional teams fail to communicate effectively. So this could result in some misunderstanding, bottlenecks, and even the project fail. So it's very important that you pay attention on the project communication. Another big mistake is when we don't have good metrics for the success. What really we're gonna measure to identify the project success. In a hybrid model, it's common to have different KPIs for different parts of the project. The mistake here is not clear defining what those KPIs are and how they will be measured to reflect the project's overall health. It's important that when you define a KPI that you communicate this KPI to your team and make sure that they understood how this indicator will reflect the health of your project. Another big mistake when we ignoring cultural fit, cultural scenario. Every organization has a culture, and the hybrid approach requires a certain degree of flexibility and openness of new ideas. Ignoring cultural aspects could lead to resistance from the team members and can sabotage the implementation of hybrid management model. It's important that you really understand in which level of acceptance of hybrid project approach your organization is. Having said that, we can start talking about KPIs. So what are KPIs? What is the definition? The technical definition is KPI, key performance indicators, are measurable ways to see how well a company, a project, a team, or a person is doing at reaching his key goals. So they are indicators, something that you can measure and you can evaluate based on the result how your project is going. But not only a project, you can evaluate the company, the team, or even a person in terms of some objectives. But in the context of timelines, the KPIs, we can think about some metrics that we can access. For example, the timelines. We can have KPIs to measure only the timelines, the time of your project. The cost, quality, stakeholder satisfaction, or any specific metric that is unique for your project. It's fundamental that when you identify a KPI, that you know which domain or which area of your project they will address. Why are KPIs so important? We have many reasons. I'm gonna list some here just to illustrate the importance of these indicators. One is to objective measurement of progress. So KPIs are an easy way to track and examine the subjective evaluations because they are based on numbers. Of course, if we say the project is going well, we know something, we can express some information. But when we say the project is going 15% faster than planned, it's another way to talk about the performance of your project. So one of the main reasons that we adopt KPIs is that because it's based on data, numbers, that we can prove the result. Another point is that the KPIs make sure that you are aligned with the business goals. So they will help you to ensure that both the agile and traditional components are aligned with the business goals. Resource optimization. KPIs can also make better use of your resources by showing you which areas you need more attention or you need to change. Based on the results of these KPIs, you can act on your resources of your project. Could be human resources or even material or financial resources. Risk mitigations. KPIs also serve as an indicator for possible issues that will allow you to take some proactive actions. It's important that I have posted about the risk management, and in hybrid project management, when you work with both approaches, traditional and agile, risk management is something that you need to really pay attention. And using good KPIs, we're gonna help you and give you some ideas and good insights about which kind of risks you need to manage. Let me give you some examples of KPIs on hybrid project management. Of course, these are only a small list just to give you an idea. There's a lot of other KPIs that you can use, but just to show you some KPIs that you can have in your project. One is more related to schedule variance. So this is a traditional KPI that you understand how much ahead or behind the schedule your project is in a specific time. We know how to calculate schedule variance. Many tools have this formula calculated directly on the tools. Another point is the velocity. This is an agile KPI that will measure the amount of work completed in a specific time frame. Normally, it's used if you adopt Scrum in your project. Return of investment, ROI. This is a universal KPI that measures the profitability of your project based on the cost and the value of the product or the result of your project. Customer satisfaction index. When you are working in a hybrid, we assume that you have some agile components, and in these agile components, your customer is really working together with your team. So it's important that you measure the satisfaction of your customer in terms of result of the product and the service that you're providing. Cost performance index is the same. It's another KPI that is very useful, very common in traditional projects. It's a KPI that measures cost efficiency in your project. This KPI is more for the traditional components where you need to monitor the cost. In Agile, you also can manage the cost, okay? And you can use the numbers in Agile and traditional to calculate the CPI. So this is some examples of KPIs that you can use. But let me give you another good information. Based on a research, when we talk about KPIs, there's some KPIs that are more used than others. For example, KPIs that meet original goals are used by 78% of the projects. KPIs that measure how you can complete your project within the budget, 67. So we can see that it's still monitoring the cost, monitoring the time, and the scope are the most important KPIs. As I said, you can have many other KPIs in terms of the quality, customer satisfaction, and everything. But these three, scope, budget, and the cost, budget and time, are the three main points that we need. Most organizations needs to monitor. We also have some experience in terms of the scope creep. In agile, changes are very welcome, but in traditional, it's not so easy to change. So that's why we need to monitor in hybrid how frequently we change the scope in the project, and also in terms of the failures that we delivered with our projects. But this is just a research that I found that shows that still scope, time, and cost are the three main types of or areas in the project management that you need to create or identify some KPIs to your project. But how to choose KPIs? What are the criteria that you can use to select good KPIs in your project? I'm gonna give you some ideas. First, you need that these KPIs be aligned with your business goals. This is the first step, is to identify KPIs aligned with your business objectives and answer what are you trying to achieve with this project. What you're gonna get with this project. This is a question that you can answer using some KPIs. Second is the feasibility. Feasibility means that you need to make sure that you have enough information, enough data, enough numbers to calculate your KPIs. It doesn't help, for example, use velocity if your team cannot calculate their performance. It's important when you select a KPI that you make sure that you're gonna get valuable data and trustful data to calculate these KPIs. Relevance. Choose KPIs that are most relevant to the project or the phase that you are. Some KPIs are more useful during the initiation, while others are more during the planning or execution. You can change the KPIs during the project. There's no problem. Some KPIs you're gonna use only in the execution. Some KPIs you can use only on planning. So it's important that the KPI reflect the actual state of your project. And simplicity. KPI should be easy to understand by everyone. It's important that you provide some KPIs and the people understand what these KPIs means in terms of the project performance. If they are not aware about CPI, SPI, velocity, they don't have good information about what these KPIs means, don't use it. Try to be simple. Try to provide information, especially the high management board that usually they don't have technical But when you talk about KPIs, we have some problems, some pitfalls that we need to pay attention. And I'm gonna try to clarify some of them here with you. I would say that one of the most important, the most common problem we see is the data overload. Sometimes when you have too much data, this could be not a good thing, could be bad for your project. You need to have enough data, enough numbers, enough information to represent, to identify your performance. And doesn't matter, it doesn't help if you keep having too much information, collecting too much information that you are not using. So to solve this, I would say that you need to prioritize some metrics and make some regular reviews on these metrics. As I said, some KPIs are better used in a specific phase of your project or in a specific component of your project. As you change, as you advance in your project, try to review if these KPIs are still valid, are still important to your project. And if it's not, you can just replace for another one. Another problem is when these KPIs are not aligned with your objectives. You need to make sure that each KPI that you choose are directly aligned with at least one business objective. If the business objective is to save time, use time KPIs. If your business objective is to save money, use cost KPIs. So it's very important that the KPIs are aligned with the objectives of your business. And to solve this problem, you need to talk with your stakeholders. You need to talk with your customers, your sponsors, your team to see if these KPIs are really important, are really showing them some valuable information. And you need to align these checks because for some customer, you need to provide some information. For another stakeholder, you need to provide another information. Of course, the objective for the customer is not the same for your sponsor, but you need to answer both. And it's important that you talk with them to see how to select the best KPIs for your project. Another very common problem, failure to update. And this is really, really common. So people have some KPIs, but don't update the information. So the KPIs are just numbers that are not accurate. So KPIs need to be updated or changed as your project evolves. It's very important to keep a trustful KPI. How to solve this? You need to review your KPIs frequently to see if the numbers of that you are using are updated. And you need to adapt and refine these KPIs as you need. And finally, ignoring lagging and leading indicators. What are these two indicators? Lagging are outcome metrics, and leading are performance indicators. So it's you have to balance KPIs that will show you performance and outcome in terms of your project. Outcome in terms of the cost, the time, the scope, the quality, but also the performance that you are doing in your project. How fast, how good you are doing your project. So this is how you can really have a good information about your project. How to solving? you need to do tracking. So you need to make a point of track with these two indicators. You need to have indicators that will measure the outcome. You need to have indicators that measure your performance. And also you need to use your risk assessment to identify in terms of these leading indicators, especially the performance of the outcome, if there's something that you need to do, some action that you need to do based on this performance. When we talk about KPIs, most of the time the organization have a culture that is not based on data. So when you start providing information that is based on data, you need to make sure that the organization, your team, your group have this tradition to collect information. To collect information, you need first to identify what kind of information you need, identify how you're going to collect this information and how to use this information. And why you need to create this data-driven culture in your organization. First, because this is very helpful when you make a decision. You need to make a decision. So a data-driven culture enables teams to make decisions based on facts. And this is better than just assuming, making decisions based on assumptions that you, or feelings that you have in your project. The second point is that increased transparency. When you have numbers, when you have data that will confirm your information, your decision, it's much easier to understand and to confirm this decision. What is working, what's not working. It's easier to identify pain points areas for improvement. And enhance accountability. Data eliminates ambiguity and make it easier to assign and to understand responsibility. When you know where these data come from and who is responsible for this data, you can act over this person, over this information. How to foster a data-driven culture? Many of you say, Rogério, I don't know how to implement this culture in my organization. And I'm going to help you on this. First, you need to have leadership buy-in. So the leadership of your project, of your organization, really must fully support this data-driven approach. They must agree that the information, the data, the KPIs that you're gonna use are really important. The second is that you need to train your group, your organization in terms of collecting data. So you need to train your team with the skills they need to interpret data and to collect data in a way that will help you in your project. It's important that the people learn data literacy, how to collect data, how to define data, how to interpret data. So this way they're gonna really understand what these KPIs will mean. Implement data dashboard. When you have KPIs, you need to present this information in some way. We used to say you will create dashboards to present your KPIs. And these dashboards, we can use simple reports or we can use some digital tools. In this video, I'm gonna show you some tools that you can use to create good dashboards for your project. And we need to encourage an open communication. It's important that you create a culture where people are comfortable discussing data and findings in a good way. It's not a culture that we're gonna just find the responsibles or try to punish the people based on the results. It's a learning process that you need to develop in your organization. Data's KPIs, it's a way to learn something and to make some actions, some decisions. And this is what really matters. How you're gonna use this information and how you're gonna use this data to improve your process. Of course, when we talk about about the culture, we have some cultural pitfalls that we need to manage. One of the most common is data accumulation. We need to make sure that the data is accessible to who needs to this data, and not just for some resources. Another big problem is when we ignore qualitative data. We think only on quantitative data. Qualitative, it's also important and also useful when we talk about KPIs, and they have good value in terms of the feedbacks. And overemphasis on certain metrics, like we call this vanity metrics, that look good on paper but don't really collaborate for the objectives, like CPIs, SPIs. I see a lot of projects that they keep using CPIs, SPIs, SV, CV, but this doesn't give any valuable information because they are most adaptive. And it's important that you don't stay focused on information indicators or any other data that are not aligned with your project and business objectives. Okay, when we talk about working with KPIs, normally we tend to find some tools that will help us to create dashboards and to process this information. And I will talk about some tools here in this video, but I like to say that these are not the only tools that we have. You can work with different tools other than these. But when you select a tool, it's important that first you find a tool that have a user-friendly interface. It's important that it's easy to work with this tool and to navigate in this tool for all members of your team. Customization. You need to find a tool that could be customized in terms of your needs. Customized the dashboards, the reports, the metrics, and everything you need to be able to change in this tool based on your project. Real-time analytics. It's important that if there's a tool that is connected with a data source, that these dashboards and these KPIs being updated in a real time. If it's not possible, you need to make sure that every time that you're going to present these dashboards or these KPIs, that you updated the data. Another point in terms of integration, it's very important that you use tools that you could integrate it with other systems in your organization. If you can, for example, choose a tool that could communicate with your, ERM, SAP, Oracle database, it's better to collect information. And scalability. You must find a tool. You need to find a tool that must be able to grow with your project and your organization. Because of course you need to think in different kind of project that you need to use these two in not only your project. Okay, I'm gonna talk about 4 specific tools. I would say they are the most common tools that we have today in the market. But as I said, these are not the only tools that we have. Based on this, you can use some features that we have on these tools to select the best tool for you. I will start with Google Analytics. So Google Analytics, it's a very good tool, especially for projects that are related to web and marketing analytics. The pricing is free, so you don't need to pay any fee to use the basic version. And as you can see here, Google Analytics provide a lot of information in terms of the different ways to represent the information in terms of the graphs, and you can customize this dashboard as you want. If you want to use the Google Analytics for a professional version, in this case, you need to pay a fee that could go at $150,000 per year if you use for the whole business. Another very common and very good tool is a software that's called Tableau. It's for data visualization. I like a lot of this software. I worked with some projects that use this tool, and it's very, very good for have a data visualization. Usually, this tool can be used in hybrid project management for creating advanced charts and reports. It's possible to transform data in different designs in terms of the data visualization. The cost, I would say, not so high. You're going to start with individual plan, $70 per user per month. And you have a custom pricing for the whole organization. Another software that it's very, very common is Jira. Jira is very used in agile project management. You have not only Jira you can use for different goals, and especially for business analytics. Jira is an issue that you can track the project activities, you can track the work, you can track the cost, you can create a different information to monitor your project. And the price, it's also good. You have a free version for up to 10 users if you use Jira Software Cloud. But if you want to have a paid subscription, it starts with $7 per user per month. So it's really not expensive. And there's a lot of organizations that adopt Jira. Another very common software is Power BI. Power BI is a Microsoft business analytics tool. It provides also data visualization, like we saw in Tableau. And Power BI, it's also very common in the market, and it also starts with a very low price, $10 per user per month. But you can have a premium version that will start with $20,000. And if you need a cloud service, you need to add $5,000 per month, depending on the number of users. Power BI, it's very interesting because the integration with all Microsoft suite, it's easy. Okay, So if you use Power BI, you have access you can integrate the information with Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and all Microsoft softwares. And I included here another software. It's called Prometheus. Why I put this software? Because this software is an open source tool, which means that it's possible to change this software based on your needs. It's free. It's based on an open source tool. And the problem with Prometheus, it's not every organization have a culture to work with open source tool. But I saw a demonstration of this tool, and I was very impressed. And it's very, very interesting because I like open source environments, because you can really adapt and customize these tools based on your needs. If we take a look quickly on all these tools that I provided, I would say that all of them have a user-friendly interface, except the Prometheus, because it's an open source. But you can customize, you can have a real-time updated. Tableau, it's not exactly real-time, but it's not complicated to update the information. They have good features in terms of the integration and scalability. So it doesn't matter which tool you're gonna use. The most important is that you think about these features in terms of what you have in your organization, what you need in your organization, in your project, to select a tool. I have here an example on, this is just an exercise I did in terms of some specific hybrid projects that I can select some KPIs. For example, in a software development, let's say that I have a 6-month project to develop a mobile app with 3 main features. So I have a predictive for feature planning and adaptive for feature development. I can use, for example, time to market KPI, sprint velocity, and customer satisfaction. Why? Because I need to meet market demands. I need to monitor agile team output. I need to ensure product market fit. And the challenge, some resource constraints, some sprints that can vary in terms of duration, and limited user feedback. Also, I put another marketing campaign and healthcare process improvement. As you see, for each different project, I have different KPIs. I can have ROI, custom per lead, agile velocity, patient satisfaction, process efficiency, staff satisfaction. Depending on the project, you're gonna find KPIs that are more addressed in terms of the predictive or adaptive components of your project. It's important that when you select a KPI, that you identify why you need these KPIs and what are the main challenges to adopt these KPIs. The reason will help you to justify the use of these KPIs, and the challenge will help you to keep monitoring the information, keep monitoring the data and the result of these KPIs in terms of the business objectives and the project objectives. This is a simple example that you can use to in your project. When you create this table for your KPIs, you can select, identify which components of your project have predictive and adaptive, and which KPI for each component, the reason and the challenge for these KPIs. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed this class about KPIs. And if we see, if we just resume some takeaways that to have this in this video. First point, you need to understand and you need to learn in terms of the benefits of adopting Agile in your projects. You need to understand that hybrid project management will leverage the strength of both predictive and adaptive approach. You're gonna have more flexibility and efficiency in your projects. The second point is that you need KPIs. You need to select good KPIs for your project. They are not just useful, but they are crucial vital for your project success. You must find good KPIs to monitor and to measure your project health, to make better, to improvement. The goal of the KPIs is not just to find responsibles or people or reasons for some fails or some problems. The reason to using KPIs is to find ways to improve. Customization is really the key for better use of KPIs. There's no, as I said, there's no one size fits all solution for all projects. For each project, you need to evaluate what are the best KPIs you're gonna use. You need to create a data-driven culture. You need to promote a data-driven culture in your organization, or at least in your project. The team, your group must understand how to work with data. Make a good tool selection. Choose the right software. Choose the right way to represent your KPIs, your dashboards, and keep training and keep improving the culture of data-driven in your organization, in your project. This will really help you and make you improve your process, your management, and adopt a very good hybrid, a good practice in managing hybrid projects. All right, next week, I'm gonna talk about another very important subject, stakeholder management in hybrid project. What are the differences between stakeholders in predictive, adaptive, how to work with stakeholders that are interested in a hybrid project. This series, it's about hybrid project management. And if you like it, you can find other videos in this series in my YouTube channel. I have a list, not a list, I have a streamline in my YouTube channel with all videos about hybrid project management. I really invite you to subscribe to my channel. If you like it, make your comment, give your thumbs up. It's important that you help me to keep this channel working and spreading this knowledge and this experience with other people like you. So I see you in my next video.